Slightly less dramatic than the first 2 days. Welcome to another edition of Free Agent Fever. Got two-time All-Star and NBA champion Caron Butler, an All-Star in our heart, Sekou Smith from NBA.com. I'm Jaren Greenberg. Nothing as headline-grabbing as LeBron and DeMarcus on Tuesday. We still have plenty of fallout, though, from both moves. Coming up, Gary Payton weighs in on the new-look Lakers. First, guys, let's get to the Day 3 headlines from free agency. Third team in 2 weeks for Dwight Howard, agreeing to a one-year deal with the Wizards, which comes after Dwight was traded by the Hornets to the Nets, then agreeing to a buyout with Brooklyn. The 8-time All-Star coming off of a season when he averaged about 16.5 points and 12.5 boards with Charlotte. Wizards also upgrade their bench, adding hometown kid Jeff Green. Grew up in the area, went to Georgetown. He'll suit up for his 5th different team in 6 seasons. You'll recall he had some impact for the Cavs last year, particularly in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals, when he scored 19 points for the Cavs as they advanced to the NBA Finals. The Pacers have added a veteran Swiss Army knife in Tyreke Evans. Last season in Memphis, Evans put up his best offensive numbers since 2010. That's when he was named NBA Rookie of the Year. So Evans goes to Indiana. How about another former Rookie of the Year? Michael Carter Williams was the award winner back in 2013. MCW will enter his 6th season with the Rockets, who will be his 5th different team. MCW is a career 25% three-point shooter and just a 40% shooter from the field. We'll see how that fits with the Rockets. A move by the Warriors that is likely to receive far less venom on Tuesday. The Dubs bringing back Kevon Looney, who started 5 playoff games during Golden State's run to the 2018 NBA championship. So much more depth there up in the front court. The Jazz investing in another one of their young players day after coming to terms with Derek Favors. Dante Exum agreeing to a 3-year deal to stay in Salt Lake City. The 5th pick of the 2014 draft was limited to just 14 games last season due to a knee injury. Utah also reportedly bringing back Raul Neto as well. Got trade news for you. The Nuggets sent Wilson Chandler to the Sixers in exchange for nothing. Philly able to absorb Wilson's $12.8 million salary into its cap space. Now, when you factor in Chandler's salary number and what that did to the Nuggets' luxury tax bill, how about this? The move is expected to save Denver about $50 million. Good move there by Tim Connolly, and a good shooter for Philly. Let's talk first about what the Wizards did, okay? We know that the Wizards need some help after being the 8th seed and going out in the first round, Caron, to Toronto. But they're a team that's had some locker room dysfunction. They ship out Marcin Gortat, and now they signed Dwight Howard, who, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's not known as a team builder.
Yeah, and you know, that was something that was glaring to me, but, you know, after talking to Dwight Howard numerous times, during this free agency period. And he came on the show and he was just saying that, look, I got the wrong, perception about me. And I'm always a team first guy. I'm all about winning. And this is a great opportunity for him to do that. They go to a ready-made situation where they got established players in the Eastern Conference. He can have a lot of sweat equity on the court and help them get to the, the destination that they're trying to get to.
Big personalities, though. John Wall, Bradley Beal. Now you got Austin Rivers. How does that work with Dwight Howard?
Well, chemistry will be interesting for the Wizards now because Dwight has to come in. And it's weird seeing him at this stage of his career bouncing around from team to team late in his career as opposed to him being the bell cow when he's in Orlando. And then when he first started, moving around L.A., they thought he was going to be the missing piece. Houston, they thought he'd be the guy to get him over the top in the middle. Now Dwight has to be a complementary player. That means you got to get in line and fall into the culture that Brad Beal and John Wall have established in Washington. You can't go in there rocking the boat. You just burned another bridge in Charlotte, where the reviews were not glowing about your locker room presence and your leadership. I feel like Dwight hopefully now recognizes where he is at this stage of his career and understands he's the one that has to prove to everybody that he's not what people think he is. He's got to wipe that away himself. It's not about other people misunderstanding him anymore.
I think he will, and I think he understands that, and that's a great, excellent point. And he understands that, he's on the back end of his career, understanding that he has to go out there and just, win. And I think winning cures all.
Well, Jeff Green won, relatively speaking, right? For the first time in his career, he got to the NBA Finals. Right, huge. What can he do? And the fact that he's coming back to his hometown area where he grew up, where he went to college, what will that be like for him?
Yeah, I think it'll be just a welcoming ceremony, and accepting the city back with open arms and likewise. And I think the feeling would be mutual. I think everybody loved to see him in that uniform, and I think he's going to excel. He's happy to be back home, and he fits that team extremely well because athletically he can do some things. I didn't think he was such a great perimeter shooter, and then I saw moments where he can play in the system where he can just space the floor and do some things, and then also keep up with the pace of the way the game is played now.
Let's go to Philadelphia. While they didn't necessarily agree to terms with anybody acquiring Wilson Chandler, and it seemed as if, Sekou, the Sixers were kind of in the wake of the LeBron effect, right? Holding out hope that they could get him. And that may have cost them some players who went quickly in the first 3 hours of free agency, late Saturday night into Sunday morning. But now getting J.J. Redick back and Wilson Chandler, what do you see with how they're building this roster?
Well, look, the first thing you got to understand, if you're going to play the high-risk, high-reward game of free agency like Philly did, you're going to have to get stuck in that middle position sometimes. If it doesn't work out, Wilson Chandler is an excellent consolation prize just in terms of having a three-man that you can insert into that group that gives you a little different wrinkle. He's working off the dribble, attacking the basket in ways that they haven't had a guy. They got guys who they've asked to stand out and really be catch-and-shoot guys. They haven't asked them to be, dynamic, ball creators, taking the ball off the dribble, going to the basket, and changing the dynamic that way. So I like it. I like Wilson Chandler as a veteran for that group. The more vets they get in there, losing Bellinelli, not having those guys come back, you need a little more of that veteran presence, and I think Wilson Chandler will give it to you.
I totally agree. I think Wilson is so stable. Had some time last summer during training camp, going out to Denver, spending some time with the team, and, connecting with Wilson, and he understanding the big landscape of all of this, and knowing that he possibly will be, off this team this upcoming season, but, welcoming the challenge of going to a young team like the 76ers, or it could have been numerous teams that really wanted him and needed his services. He's going to excel in Philadelphia.
I want to show you a list of several guys who are still out there, not yet committed, and it is dominated by the restricted free agent crop, which seems like these teams, Sekou, are just waiting for somebody to make a move. But here's the problem. There's very little teams that are interested in signing big contracts because they're not ready to win yet. There's only a couple of teams that actually have some cap space.
Yeah, and in these restricted free agents, that market has always been tricky because you got to find one team if you're one of these guys that's going to come in and put down a big offshoot to scare your team into either matching or letting you walk. And obviously, Houston doesn't want to see Clay Capella leave. They need him, but they're not going to bid against themselves in a volatile summer where the market's tight. And there are not a ton of teams spending big money out there. Marcus Smart's another one I think who's going to be real interesting because if Boston doesn't do anything this summer, they decide to stand pat and come back with that group that they had. He's very important to what they want to get done with a healthy Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward added to the mix as well.
Out the four to five guys that we saw right there, who do you think will receive an offer sheet from another team?
I thought Capella would be the guy that would already have one, and I've been kind of surprised that he didn't get one.
Yeah, and that's glaring to me, and it lets you know what the market is out there and what the cap is and what people are willing to do. And, the emojis that he put it on Twitter saying that, look, the sad face and, things not going his way. But next year is the year where you're going to have so much cap space, and you're seeing a lot of guys signing the 1 year in where they can just be available next season.
Caron, I want to go back to something here, though, with these restricted free agents. Is there that risk that you run with going out and making that player go get the deal rather than just giving him what he could make out in the open market? Because now you're making him feel like he's not wanted. Or you're making him go fetch for it rather than just giving it to him.
That is a risk that you take, but it's business.
Right.
And that's
it cost Utah Gordon Hayward reportedly, right, when he had to go get that deal with Charlotte a couple of years ago.
That's the ugly side of this business, and that's a risk that you have to take sometimes with players and understanding that the value. You may value them as something, but you want to see what is the value, in the open market. And, some of these guys don't have the value that you may value them at. So you look, take your chance and let the chips fall where they may.
If you're one of these young teams that's got cap space, why wouldn't you want Clint Capella, right?
I love him. I love him. He already have a sheet with me.
That's better than having a draft pick in 2019, isn't it?
He had the bag already.
Next up, as the Lakers continue to shape their roster around LeBron, Cleveland gets some closure. Some closure in Cleveland on Tuesday. The famed LeBron Nike banner, which you really couldn't miss from anywhere in the city, it's coming down. It's over, guys.
No!
go.
They didn't waste any time, huh? They
It'd be
didn't let
pretty
the week
awkward.
finish out before they went up there and got
Hall
it
of Famer Gary Payton, guys, joined an earlier edition of Free Agent Fever. Then it's got Matt Weiner talk with the Hall of Famer.
GP, did anything about the LeBron announcement or contract surprise you?
Well, no, not about going to L.A. You know, we all had a pretty good idea that that's where he wanted to go. You know, his family always said that that they wanted to be in the sun, and he always had told him that his family is a big part of what he's going to do because they always been listening to him, and now he's going to listen to them. So we really, really thought about that. You know, the contract is that he's done. You know, he don't want to move anymore. This is his last stop. He just showed it. You know, he showed it by signing a long-term deal and giving L.A. a chance to put some people around him. So he's just showing that, you know, this is his last stop.
Yeah, and the long-term part is interesting as well. He signed with L.A. without the guarantee of another superstar on the roster, at least this upcoming season. How good are the Lakers right now?
Well, you know, they're going to contend. You know, once you get him, people got to understand, they had won 27 games a year ago, and then this year they were 8+. So putting him on the team, you can go from 35 to 45 to 47 almost. You give him 12 more wins and be in the playoffs in the West. They're putting pieces together. You know, they did a good job of getting Rondo with a guard that can help Alonzo Ball, Lance Stevenson who can guard somebody, JaVale McGee who can block shots and do things. Now he has to just have some players that's going to score with him and he can rely on. You know, and he doesn't have to do so much work. I don't know if they're a championship team. I don't think that's the case. I think they're a playoff team.
And, Gary, with that being said, what advice would you give LeBron, knowing that Cleveland's a small market from a media standpoint? Obviously, Miami has its market. But now you're going to L.A. They're expecting championships. What advice do you give him, knowing that you were the big man in Seattle going to L.A. with Shaq and all those things, but he's still the king of the hill? What advice to kind of get the Lakers back to championship?
All I can do is just tell him to be himself. He has to go in there with the same mentality that he's been doing for the last, 8 years that he went to the finals for 8 years straight. He has to go in there and make everybody else better. I think if he makes everybody else better, you got to think about it. You're going to change to a Western Conference that's loaded. Golden State and Houston, they're going to be good, you know. So you're going to have to try to dethrone them, but you got to get players. This first year, you got to make them understand we're going to get better. We're going to be a 10-plus more team, win 40, 45, 46 games, and then you're showing the light. The next year, you're going to have to be in contention of winning the championship. His mindset has just to be, I'm going to get this team to be the best team it can be. You get me the right players, we're going to win basketball games, and we're going to contend for a championship.
Thanks to Gary Payton for joining the guys earlier. And listen, we've witnessed what the Lakers have gone through here, but it still sounds weird to talk about incremental growth for this Laker team. They are in the midst of their worst 5-year stretch in the history of the team, not making the playoffs. Is that fair, Sekou, that just making the playoffs is how this team will be judged now that they have LeBron James?
Yeah, I mean, we throw the grading curve out the window with LeBron. He's forced us into that because every time he shows up somewhere, it's instant contention. I think this will be the toughest situation for him, even tougher than when he went back to Cleveland, 4 years ago, because at least then you had an established, all-star in Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love on that roster. Now, everything else was up in the air. These are puppies that he's working with the Lakers. These are young guys in their first and second year, and we don't know yet how good these guys are going to be, what their ceiling is. But I like the depth chart. If you just look at the number of long athletic bodies he's going to be working with, they're going to get so much better playing off of LeBron. And then I don't think we can, overstate how important it is to have Kentavious Caldwell-Pope in that lineup, because LeBron's going to need somebody else, a vet in this league, who can get up and down the floor and make shots. And then think about it. You still got Kyle Kuzma coming off that bench, Caron. You still need some depth to go to, quality depth behind some of these guys that can give you buckets and give you some quality minutes.
And it's a lot of, quality guys still out there in free agency that, that can really help, coming off the bench. One guy that, jumps off the screen at me is Jamal Crawford, and I think he wants to be in Los Angeles, so that makes perfect sense to acquire a guy like that. And then you're looking at the team, a lot of the young talent, they have a wealth of young talent. Yeah. And, you know, you was thinking about this year, you know, them growing, but this year turned into next season already. The next season turned in now.
Right.
You know, where they have to be available and ready to,
Right.
you know, make a splash and be ready for the opportunities coming from LeBron.
But, you know, even if the plan is to be patient, and even if you have the security of a 4-year contract with LeBron, you know, the moment they hit a bit of adversity, there's going to be conversations about who can they trade for, right?
Yeah, you're going to hear a lot of that. But I think in what, you know, Gary said is absolutely true. You know, my big brother, Gary Payne, you know, he said that, look, LeBron is going to add, you know, 10 to 15 wins immediately. So a team that's been out of the playoffs, you know, for the last 5 seasons, you know, immediately come playoff contention and then possibly championship contention immediately just by putting LeBron James on that roster.
It's a double-digit win improvement no matter what, right? When you get LeBron James. Everywhere he's been, every time he's changed teams, it's double digits, right?
Look at
you're
that.
getting at least double digits. The other thing you're getting, and I don't think
So you're saying this team right now, as constructed, is at least a 45-win team?
they got to be. I mean, LeBron's presence alone,
Plus
everywhere he's
13 to
been.
15
yeah.
wins with just adding LeBron.
The other part about it I like is that if you think about what they were talking about, what Rob Pelinka and Magic Johnson were talking about prior to LeBron choosing the Lakers, before the draft and everything else, talking about the work ethic and the culture of these young guys in the gym day after day, bodies forming, games transforming. All those young guys should hopefully be better. You know, they're going to be better, more effective players, guys who have been around the block in this league one time, so they're going to be smarter and understand if they just pay attention and listen to the vets they have, Rondo, LeBron. These guys, they're going to help you get over that hump. You got a wild card in Lance Stevenson that if he comes in and plays the way that he can play, and that he's shown at points throughout his career.
Why are you smiling like that?
Because everybody, you gotta have an eyebrow raised with Lance. I get that, but if you look at the way he's played when he's been on a team where there's some leadership and an ensemble cast, he's filled a really good role. So I mean, I like what they're doing. I like what the Lakers are doing.
You just wonder how they're going to handle all this pressure, right? It's maybe they've been in L.A. for a couple of years, but this is a different L.A. now with LeBron aboard.
Keep the cameras rolling.
I can't wait. We could just do a couple-hour shows every night. Boogie didn't go to the Lakers. Why not? We'll be joined by Mark Spears to explain exactly what went down in the hours leading up to him agreeing to go to the Warriors. Well, DeMarcus Cousins with some closure to New Orleans, who traded for him a couple of years back. Oh, man, the venom, the hatred that's been all around NBA Twitter, around the country and the world, that he is now a member of the Warriors. Well, DeMarcus Cousins let Mark Spears of The Undefeated behind the curtain. He explained how the 4-time All-Star went from no offers to landing with the chance. And Mark Spears spoke with our guys earlier.
You paint a picture of a player disillusioned about the market for his services after receiving no offers on the first day of free agency. How did he get from that moment of clarity to calling the Warriors?
Well, it's certainly a tough free agent market, and you also have the Achilles injury, which either probably made teams hesitant or not interested. But you're also talking about a guy who averaged 25 and 12 and 5. That's Hall of Fame numbers, you know. And so it certainly had to be humbling, put him in an emotional place. And I think he decided, you know what, I'm going to take this into my own hands. I'm going to play 1 year, prove that I'm healthy, get back to being Boogie. And he called the Warriors. Perhaps he may have called some other teams, but he wouldn't go into detail about that. Called the Warriors, which was certainly a surprise phone call for Bob Myers, the GM of the Warriors, and ultimately talked to KD and Steph and Draymond, and decided that, you know, he was going to come to the Bay Area, which is still stunning news for Warriors fans and NBA fans.
An amazing turn of events. You also wrote that Pelicans GM Dell Demps had already informed Cousins that New Orleans wasn't planning to re-sign him. Does that mean at any cost, not even a short-term offer to see if Cuz could get back to form?
Yeah, well, he wouldn't go into detail, or I wouldn't say wouldn't. We didn't go into detail about that. Obviously, you have a certain finite time to talk about things, but he basically said that he did speak to the Pelicans, but no formal offer was made. And so obviously there's probably semantics on what conversations took place in the past and this, that, and the third. But he said that he was told that he wasn't wanted back there.
And Spearsy, with that being
which is
said,
a key thing. Like you could talk about contracts and what was offered and this, that, and the other, but he specifically said that he was told that they didn't want him.
and Spearsy, with that being said, we know he's a talented player. How much of his history had a lot to play in this for the Pelicans?
But here's the thing. I'm going to throw it back at you, 3D. What did he do bad in New Orleans?
Nothing. That's why most of us are so shocked that they didn't offer anything. Because we know the Achilles injury is one thing. It may take you a while to get back to form. But is there something you may have found out behind closed door we don't know why they offered him nothing?
This is the one thing, and my family's from New Orleans, and I know New Orleans inside and out. GW Finn, shout out. Go eat there. But the people there loved him. He did more in 1 year for the community than most guys do in entire careers for the Saints or the Pelicans. He had a comedy show where he raised money for charity days after blowing out his Achilles. He had a Santa Claus event in New Orleans giving gifts to underprivileged kids. So, I mean, he got the community to love him real quick. He played his heart out. They're actually 9-1 in their previous 10 games when he got hurt. Pelicans were playing good ball, so I'm sure there had to be a lot of hurt feelings because he put monster numbers up for him. There was no issues. I guess if you had to find a knock, technicals, right? He actually told me he was at a point where him and Coach Gentry, who he got along with and loved, told him, you're not going to win. So he said he was actually trying to start talking to the referees more to try to find a common ground. And it wasn't really working, but he was trying. So I really don't what happened in Sacramento, but I think getting traded to New Orleans changed him a lot. And there's really nothing big that anybody could say that he did bad in the Pelicans uniform.
Spears, talk a little bit now moving forward. Obviously, the 800-pound gorilla in the room is still going to be the Achilles. And I know that DeMarcus has talked about trying to be ready for camp, but have you had a chance to talk to medical people, whether it be on the staff or what have you, that see a scenario where that is possible, plausible, and would they even want him to try to get back at that point? Or is this a scenario where they're hoping that maybe by All-Star break he can become integrated into that rotation?
Well, in May and yesterday, he was adamant about the fact that he'll be ready for training camp. And I know people probably think that's crazy based on the injury, and I understand that concern. You watch his videos that he's posting, he's running on a treadmill. It's different than running in a basketball game, but he's back on the court doing some things. So he's competitive. He's adamant about being back. But then, once he signs with the Warriors, the big question is, what do the Warriors doctors say? What does Steve Kerr say? What does Bob Myers say? He's going to a place where he doesn't have to rush to get back, where he could be conservative. The Warriors always err on the side of caution of injuries. They won't want him back 100%. They'll want him back 110%. So they'll give him the opportunity and perhaps maybe even tell him, no, you're not playing, and they may have to because he's such a competitive guy. And I know he's chomping at the bit to compete, to be a part of a winner, to play with the Hampton Five, that I know he'd probably go out there at 80. But we'll see soon what the Warriors think, and ultimately they'll probably have to make a collective decision on when he will play.
Mark, obviously, as a team, you just don't get this opportunity very often where an all-star caliber player calls up and says, hey, I'd like to play for your mid-level. At the same time, there is the injury situation and when he'll come back and the uncertainty of all that. And there are other names out there that perhaps the Warriors would have considered with that mid-level money. Was this an absolute no-brainer for Bob Myers and the Warriors, or did they have to consider who else they might have been able to bring in for the same dough?
Now, if a millionaire walks down the street and sees $100 laying on the ground, does he leave it there?
No, we got extra $100, boss.
He better, hey, ask them two dudes next to you with all that money. They gonna pick up that 100, and that's what the Warriors did. Bob Myers saw this odd area code from Alabama, picked up the phone, and probably had to think twice. We might have to put him on FaceTime to make sure it was the right guy. I can't wait to hear what Bob Myers has to say. But I mean, hey, you get him for the mid-level. Jesus, that's the greatest mid-level signing in the history of the NBA.
And Spears, real quick, that conversation that Bob Myers had with Steph Curry and Draymond and KD, how much of being around the Olympics and All-Stars, so they can say they know Cousins and Bob, we can bring him in and he's not going to be a deterrent in the locker room?
It's certainly huge. The four All-Stars have spent significant time with him. The one thing that Cuz said that stood out to me is that Steph was ecstatic. He was surprised how ecstatic Steph was that he was coming to the Bay, how happy he was. And that, along with KD, and KD told me the winning culture and the team camaraderie is something that pushed him over. Draymond talked to him while he was in Greece. I mean, it's kind of like the Hampton Five thing all over again that convinced KD to come. So were there some other teams involved? Cousins wouldn't say. You know, it's been speculated, but you got the champs, man. You got those cool cats to play with, those talented cats to play with. And this guy has dealt with so much losing. He missed the playoffs. I mean, why not go from one extreme to the other and have a chance to compete with a championship with some fellow future Hall of Famers?
Well, Mark does a great job of laying out what DeMarcus' side of the story is, albeit there's a ton of debate online now about what has gone down. Nobody's feeling bad for where DeMarcus has ended up in Golden State. But, Caron, in pro sports, more times than not, talent wins out over everything. Sure, a torn Achilles is a big factor here, but what is it about DeMarcus' reputation that appears to be too much for teams to overlook?
You know what? I had the luxury of playing with DeMarcus Cousins in Sacramento for a season, and he's just a straight up and down, just real brother, man. And I think that he's just misunderstood. And you heard Mark talk about, all the things that he do with cousin claws off the court and all the things. I think it don't get, highlighted. And, he's a winner. He's a winner at heart. He wants to win. And that's what it's all about. And he made a winning decision from a basketball standpoint and a business standpoint by going to the Warriors.
But you do hold him accountable for some of the actions that have taken place, right? He is not totally without blame in earning some of the issues that he's had.
Yeah, but he's a talented individual, and there's no way that, a guy, let me just look at the numbers again. 25, 12, and 5 this season. Yeah. Come on. Like, for him to be on the open market, I know obviously he's injured and you want to see how big comeback from an Achilles injury. But look, on the open market, a 3-year deal for him, max dollars. Like, I felt like everybody that had a spot available or cap space should have made that happen. And that wasn't the case. So you cannot fault him for going to a winning situation where he don't have to play physically until after All-Star break possibly, and then come back in the best shape of his life, win a championship, improve his value on the open market. So many teams with cap space next summer. It's a great business move.
Yeah. I think you also have to be careful what institutions you choose to believe in terms of, teams are going to tell you one thing. Team sources will tell you one thing this time of year. It's very rare that you get to talk to a player and get the straight skinny from him. Mark talked to DeMarcus Cousins. Why would he have to lie on his own money, in a free agent summer? I mean, you think he's going to leave 3-4 times as much as he signed for on the table out of pride or, because his ego wouldn't allow him to, to take something less? That's ridiculous. This is a situation where he had to go out and find a deal. He went out and made the best deal for DeMarcus Cousins. It upsets the order of things around the league for players, for fans, everybody. Right. But so what? Because that's the only person he's had to be concerned with going forward is DeMarcus Cousins.
And he knows if he's a good citizen, does his job, it's going to handsomely reward him at the end of it. And if he's not, they'll just cut him, and there's no loss for the Warriors.
And he's playing with guys that he knows. He's played international ball with Clay. He knows.
Coming back, guys, with Summer League highlights and looking for a bounce-back performance from the number 5 pick of the draft, Trey.
Yo, so excited!
And it's almost that time.
Big night. About to get swaggy real quick. Got some things on the inside. It came out pretty good. Actually, it's gonna be tough.
I love this suit. I got some swaggy socks right here. So you know, the swaggy socks and use swaggy accessories to really pop off your outfit.
Going over blue with the baby blue and the white. I'm having a feeling someone's gonna pull out the suit shorts today. I don't know who it is, but you heard it here first.
Going with the shorts. Nobody's ever worn shorts at the draft, so it's being different.
Ready to roll.
Let's go. We here. I've been left to hop on the bus. So we'll find out what my new home is.
Too excited to put in the words, man. I mean, this is a great opportunity.
Amazing. I'm just happy to be here. It's a dream come true. 2018 NBA draft. Here with the guys on the Barclays. It's gonna be a good night.
This is where all the magic happens. Most of these guys, we all dreamt about this. And, we're waiting to get on this stage and really make our dreams come true.
Yo, Marvin, right here! Hey!
Trey Young, how are you? There's a lot about you in Oklahoma. You did a really good job, man. You're phenomenal.
Exciting moment for sure. Enjoy it, really. I mean, a lot happens on draft night. I got traded on draft night.
I feel good. I mean, I'm here with my parents back home in New York. Dreams about to come true tonight.
The Commissioner Adam Silver just about ready to step to the microphone and give us the Suns pick.
With the first pick in the 2018 NBA Draft, the Phoenix Suns select DeAndre Ayton from Nassau, Bahamas, and the University of Arizona.
Oh my goodness. I'm excited. I'm anxious a little bit. I just can't wait till it's real.
The Sacramento Kings select Marvin Bagley III from Duke University.
It's great, I've been talking to them a lot.
Congrats,
I'm excited. I'm very happy. Joining a great organization, ready to start winning.
Yeah,
bro.
Yeah, baby.
Hey.
You ready?
Oh, yes, man.
Finally, found my new home. Oh, man.
Woo! Couldn't be more excited. Can't wait to get out there and meet everybody.
Can't wait to get to work in Charlotte.
This night's been amazing. We're wrapping it up now with some family shoots, and I had fun. My dream came true.
It's been a great night, more than I ever imagined. Excited to get to work. Stay tuned for a lot of great things in the future.
The Kings want things to get going now with what Bagley did in Game 1 on Monday night. Let's get Game 2 of Summer League action. Donovan Mitchell talking to some guys here as you got the Spurs and Hawks in Utah game on NBA TV. Trey Young, man, continues to struggle here, Sekou Smith, after going 4 for 20 on Monday.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to scrutinize his shooting so much in Summer League, and it's probably not fair. This is this guy's first taste of dealing with grown men point guards coming after him. He's been in Oklahoma for a year having his way, and it's not going to be that way in the Summer League.
Well, Derek White played like a grown man. He had 15 in the first quarter. Through 2 games of Summer League action, Derek White's got 43 points for the Spurs.
Yeah, he's putting on a demonstration, dribbling the ball, hitting from the perimeter. I love it. He's in his bag.
Are we allowed to say that in July?
Absolutely.
You bring your bag to July basketball?
All the young fellas bringing their bag of tricks out.
Trey Young here getting creative.
Got a couple. And look, he hadn't made shots, but he's looked pretty good in other aspects of the game. So, the shots have come for a true shooter.
Young, 12 points, 5 of 16 from the floor after the 4 for 20. Just 2 for 16, though, through 2 games from downtown. Trey Young, just 2 games. He's got more basketball ahead of him, I promise. What do you think, Caron?
I mean, I like him. He got a score mentality, and the thing that jumps off to me is that, you want to see guys that make the transition into the speed and the pace of the NBA game, and not necessarily seeing it in this format in the Summer League play, but you're seeing him in the system against, young, athletic, length, speed, guys that could stay, keep up with the pace of him, and he's doing an excellent job of just getting to his spots and getting his shot off that's not falling, but it will at some point.
Let's go to the Cali Classic. We got more Summer League action game on NBA TV. Wagner.
Oh,
he was on the wrong end of a poster in his first Summer League game. He's got the Heat in the Sacramento Summer League. It is big men battling. Bam Adebayo. Alex Caruso, who just, he's been traveling the world playing basketball, comes in, drops off this guy on to Wagner. Duncan Robinson.
Another Michigan guy. What's going on here? What's going on here, Jay?
What are the UConn guys? Are they anywhere around? Ron, can you suit up?
I got an up and back in me. A good hard one, too.
Hey, look at Wagner. Big fella. Using the deck. He had 23 on Monday, just 8 on Tuesday. Off the turnover. Darryl make it up top. Derek Jones Jr. Those two of Jones' 21 points. Duncan Robinson, no. Bam Adebayo is going to get the bucket and an opportunity for one more as the Miami Heat pick up a win on Tuesday night. Let's take you back to Salt Lake City for the Jazz taking on the Grizzlies. Jaren Jackson, Monday, 8 of 13 from downtown. Grayson Allen, the Dookie. So here we go with Utah and Memphis and more of Jaren Jackson. Now, not as hot as he was Monday, but Tuesday having to find other things to do here.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're going to leave him out there and let him get that shot off, you're going to be in trouble because this is a big man who can do a little bit of everything right now. And he's just a baby, man. I mean, just scratching the surface.
He's more than capable, and just I see why he's getting the opportunities because people are scared of his stride and he's able to put the ball on the floor and do some other things. So it's going to open up a lot of outside perimeter shots for him.
Well, the Memphis team built a 26-point lead. Utah not giving up even in Summer League action, and here they come. First time it's Stone, then Tony Bradley for the bucket and the foul. Donovan Mitchell, all sorts of fired up. Here comes some savvy veterans who have played plenty of NBA games playing Summer League ball. Wayne Selden, he had 20 points as the Grizz hold on with a 3-point win, 95-92. So you had 2 games of Jaren Jackson, the number 4 pick of the 2018 NBA draft. And, he's at 19.5 points now through 2 games. It's a 3-point shot, the big fella. 10 of 17 from downtown. Well, not a bad start through 2 Summer League games for the 4th pick of the 2018 NBA draft. And Jaren Jackson now joins us from Utah. 39 points in 2 games in less than 2 weeks since you've been drafted. You said Monday that after your game 1 that you didn't even know where you were. It was all just like kind of flying by. Did game 2 settle in for you a little bit?
Probably a little bit more. First game, it kind of felt like I was on Mars a little bit. Just kind of everything just was going in. But, game 2, I knew they were going to close out on me a little bit harder. But, I had to mix it up a little bit. I'm glad we got the win.
29 points in game 1, 10 points in game 2. How much different was it for you just playing back-to-back games and also when you don't have the shot going, still finding ways to impact the game, unlike when game 1 everything was falling?
Yeah, just you got to be conscious. I think I'm blessed to have such a balanced team. Production can come from really anywhere. You look at Wayne, Cove, Ivan, Didi, everybody's just doing a lot of things. And today it can be anybody's night. So I think just coming in and knowing that, it's really easy to figure it out. The more we practice, the more we play, you find out people's tendencies and how people operate. And I think that's what keys in our wins, and our defense.
Jaren, cameras caught you talking with Donovan Mitchell before the game got going. And I know you've been around the NBA your entire life, but I'm curious, with the conversations you're having these days, since you've become an NBA player with current NBA players, has what you're looking for from them changed? Has the conversation been different?
Maybe a little bit. Maybe you kind of ask specific questions. He's a guy who he's already been through his rookie year. He had a great year, and at times I come to him for advice on different things. So, but that's my dude. We were just kind of messing around before and after the game. But and like when it comes down to it, I can text him, call him, ask him about different things, and he cool.
Well, after 2 games and 2 nights, you get a day off on July 4th. Any big plans?
Shoot. I'm probably going to sleep a lot. We're going to practice in the morning a little bit and then come back to the hotel. I'm probably going to be out cold, May go on Snapchat and look at everybody else's party, but other than that, I'm going to be out.
All right, well, check out my party. It's going to be big, Jaren. I promise you. Big.
It's going to be lit. All right, bet. I'm going to follow you.
Congratulations, Jaren Jackson, 2 games in.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, because I'm woke. Coming back with highlights from the W, Candace Parker and the Sparks with a big-time come-from-behind effort, but they close it out against the WNBA, and it is the LA Sparks at home for the Sun. And we got the Agumike sisters going at it once again this season, and here we go with Janae, then Nneka driving. Ooh,
no mercy. The footwork.
Connecticut in transition. Does this count as UConn representation?
Only if they won.
Yeah, she had 12.6 of 8 from the field. Hey, look at this Connecticut team going into Staples Center, building a 20-point first-half lead, led by 16 in the third quarter. You knew Candace Parker wouldn't be held scoreless for long.
Yeah, where's Candace?
Oh, ooh.
Stop this madness.
Hit him with that.
She had 12 in the third quarter. Now into the fourth, less than a minute to go. Nneka Agumike drives, lays it in, bucket, and the foul. She had 20. And look at this. We've got ourselves a lead for the Sparks, who trailed by 20. But here comes Connecticut. Janae Agumike, 21 points. 3 seconds to go. Sun inbounding the ball. They turn it over. Nneka Agumike with a chance to win it. Oh, no, off the back of the iron. Ah, tough loss.
Never mind, you lose to your sister.
Wow. Well, the Storm, trying to stay atop the WNBA standings. They're in New York, Westchester to be exact, White Plains to be exact, taking on the Liberty. Brianna Stewart, she's been dominant to say the least this season, but held to 10. Storm in transition, and the New York native, Sue Bird, dropping down.
UConn? You'll hear a lot of that.
Yeah.
Final seconds of the half. Natasha Howard drives, throws it up. Jewel Lloyd puts it back. 21 points for Lloyd. Seattle led at 39-28 at the break. Getting a good one at the Westchester County Center. They got good Nathan's hot dogs, by the way, there, which is, good to know on the night before July 4th. Sue Bird, how tremendous was she? 11 assists in this game. Caron just 1 turnover.
She was in her bag. That's my go-to. She's in her bag.
13-5, by the way, Sue Bird and the Storm. They are tied with the Mercury for first place in the WNBA. Indiana and Minnesota. Here we go with defense into offense.
Ooh. Oh, look.
Erica McCall, the no-look pass. And Cappy Pondexter.
Buckets.
She gets buckets.
No Rutgers calls there, huh? Candace Dupree, the teardrop. Out of the fourth quarter we go. The Lynx wake themselves up here. Lindsay Whalen to Rebecca Brunson. The 3 to beat the buzzer, to beat the clock. Maya Moore.
Guess what? UConn!
She was not in her bag. She was just 3 of 15. On the night, 9 points. The offensive board and Victoria Vivians.
Oh,
deep triple five.
Rookie.
Got that from the parking lot.
More from Cappy Pondexter. Ooh. She had 12 in her Fever debut. Indiana wins it. Plenty more to go on free agent Fever. Give you one more from the Cali Classic. Marvin Bagley, after that unbelievable dunk in his pro day Monday, back at it against the Warriors in Summer League action. And hey, Jamie Jones says, no, you don't do it to us here. Bagley struggled in game number 2 of his NBA career, albeit Summer League. He was just 3 of 16. Bagley denied by Jordan Bell. Bell had 4 blocks. He also had 8 points and 7 assists for Mr. Jordan Bell, the NBA champion. Some of that, because he's not in his background, huh?
More like his package.
At the buzzer. And let's tie in some World Cup talk here. Jimmy Butler living his best life this summer. Although, maybe some rumblings that maybe that won't continue in Minnesota. We'll see about that. But here, the Neymar jersey, boarding the plane, kicking it around. Ron, you a big soccer guy?
Now I am. Football.
Man, come on.
Jimmy Butler, man.
Milwaukee grew up playing soccer now.
Come on, man. All we know about grilling brats.
You're going to grill those on the 4th of July?
Preparation is on point. A whip game proper, I'm telling you, man.
Keep it in his back. Happy 4th of July. Be safe, everybody.